The wind screamed across the tundra as Elara ran toward the faint, pulsing light hovering at the cave's mouth. It wasn't sunlight. It shimmered too cold, too alive. The others shouted behind her, their voices snatched away by the storm rolling down from the glacier. She stumbled over black rock, her breath tearing, her lamp flickering in rhythm with the unseen heartbeat of the cave. When she reached the opening, the glow retreated deeper, teasing her like a promise. She whispered, "It's there," and stepped inside. The sound of rain became muffled, replaced by a low, endless hum. Jonas called her name once, twice, and then the light was gone, swallowed whole. In its place came the sound of rushing water, distant at first, then closer, as if the mountain itself had begun to breathe. Elara lifted her headlamp, but the beam barely pierced the dark. The cave took the light and held it prisoner. The storm outside was gone, or maybe it had simply been swallowed too. The cave breathed warmth in waves, each exhale carrying the metallic taste of steam. Jonas descended after Elara, calling softly so his voice wouldn't wake whatever ancient silence lay here. Mira followed, recording ambient audio that crackled with strange harmonics, whispers, maybe wind, maybe something else. Hagen's equipment pinged unstable readings, gas pockets, pressure changes. "This place is still alive," he murmured. The tunnel narrowed, curling downward like a throat, its walls streaked with glassy veins where lava had once flowed. Their footsteps echoed unevenly, some returning slower than others. Elara stopped, pointing her light at the floor. Water. It was seeping in from the cracks, clear, cold, rising by the minute. The deeper they went, the louder the hum became, a vibration that resonated in bone more than air. Mira whispered that it sounded alive. Jonas traced his gloved hand along the wall and flinched. "It's warm," he said. Elara pressed her palm there too. The wall pulsed faintly beneath her skin, almost like a heartbeat. Kellen's camera whirred, capturing everything. The drip, the echo, the soft, shivering breaths. Then the light flickered again. A short blue flash ahead, vanishing around a bend. Without a word, they followed. Their boots splashed now in ankle-deep water. The air tasted of iron and electricity. The hum became a low chant that no one dared to acknowledge. And somewhere beyond the bend, the light moved, just enough to let them think it was waiting. Kellen paused, adjusting his camera, the lens fogging from the heat. "I'm getting interference," he muttered. Static laced the audio feed, cutting in and out like whispers under breath. Hagen crouched, testing a wall crack where steam hissed outward. "Pressure's rising, fast," he said. Then a sound tore through the silence, a deep, grinding crack echoing through the rock. The tunnel trembled, dust raining down like ash. Jonas grabbed Elara's shoulder. "We need to get out," but she shook her head, transfixed by the way the blue light shimmered beneath the water. It rippled in a spiral motion, forming concentric rings that didn't match the flow. "It's moving against the current," she said softly. Then somewhere above, the mountain exhaled, and the cave lights blinked in unison, once, twice, before vanishing altogether. Total blackout. Their headlamps had failed. The only sound was dripping water and the faint click of Kellen's camera struggling to focus. Mara's breathing grew shallow. "There's another path," she whispered, tracing her hand along the wall. Jonas turned his light back on, barely a flicker. For an instant, it revealed 2 tunnels ahead, identical in shape. One sloped upward, the other downward into deeper black. "Upim's life," Hagen said. "Down means the source," Elara replied. The team hesitated, their lights dimming with every breath. The hum returned. Stronger, closer, vibrating through the water. Elara took one step toward the lower tunnel. "It's not just heat," she murmured. "Something's drawing energy." Then the cave groaned, a sound too vast to belong to stone, and every beam of light was swallowed whole. The tremor came without warning, an invisible hand shoving the world from beneath their feet. The cave howled. Rocks rained from the ceiling as Alara screamed for everyone to stay low. Jonas lunged to protect Mira, pulling her beneath a jagged outcrop. Kellen's camera toppled into the rising water, sparks hissing as it died. Hagen braced his body against the trembling wall, shouting numbers, depths, pressures, angles, until the words lost meaning in the chaos. Then came silence, thick and wrong. Their headlamps flickered back to life, revealing a world half-changed. The passage behind them was gone, crushed under a mountain of black stone. The only path left was forward, where the hum had grown into something like a pulse. Steady, deliberate, aware. They advanced through the debris field in silence. Each step was an act of faith, boots sinking into silt as droplets rained from unseen fissures above. Mira's recorder caught low vibrations beneath their voices, an otherworldly bassline too rhythmic to be tectonic. "It's not the Earth," she murmured. Jonas steadied her, his face ghost-lit, jaw clenched. Hagen scanned his device. The readings pulsed erratically, pressure spikes moving with them. "Something's shifting deeper in," he warned. Alara kept walking. Behind her, Kellen aimed his remaining flashlight into the dark ahead. And for an instant the beam caught movement. Not rockfall, but something sliding along the ceiling, smooth and deliberate, as though the cave itself was watching them pass. Or she. They found the chamber an hour later, vast, echoing, carved by time into a cathedral of molten glass. Water pooled knee-high, trembling with every drip. Their lights danced on the mirrored walls, multiplying the team into hundreds of ghostly doubles. Jonas inhaled sharply. "We're beneath the riverbed now." Alara approached the center, where a fissure split the floor and a deep blue glow shimmered from within. It wasn't light. It was movement, an unseen current swirling in patterns too ordered for chaos. "Could be geothermal gas," Hagen said. "Could be life," Mira whispered. The hum intensified, vibrating their bones until even breathing felt like resistance. Somewhere behind them, stone shifted again. The tunnel they'd come from began to sink. The ground gave way without warning. Mira screamed as the floor cracked beneath her. Jonas caught her wrist just before she fell into the fissure's boiling current. Steam exploded upward, coating everything in silver mist. "We can't stay," Kellen shouted, hauling gear onto higher rock. The noise was unbearable. Metallic groans mixed with thunder from the collapsing chamber. Hagen threw his instruments aside. "It's not just water pressure. Something's destabilizing the structure." The cave was breathing faster now, each tremor like an exhale from deep below. Alara looked into the fissure's light. It no longer shimmered blue. It burned red, pulsing with terrible precision. She whispered, "It's alive." Then the ceiling cracked open and the world came down. When the rumbling ceased, the chamber was unrecognizable. Half submerged, they clung to the remnants of a ledge as the water churned with sediment and shattered light. Kellen coughed, blood mixing with the runoff. "Roll! Call!" Alara shouted. Mira answered, then Hagen, but Jonas remained silent. His rope trailed into the dark water below. She leaned over the edge, calling his name again and again, her voice breaking into echoes that returned, distorted. Then something surfaced, his flashlight spinning slowly, beam fading with each rotation. "He's gone," Hagen whispered, but Alara's eyes stayed fixed on the fissure. The red glow was gone, replaced once more by cold blue. "No," she said, her voice hollow. "He's still down there." The hum began again, softer now, like breathing through stone. The water rose quietly at first, as if the cave wanted to pretend mercy. Then came the roar, a low rush that turned whispers into panic. Alara clutched the wall, feeling it tremble like a living lung. "It's breaching from the fissure," Hagen shouted. Mira's light swung wildly, catching reflections of themselves mirrored in every droplet. Kellen tried to document it, until his camera slipped from his hands and vanished beneath the torrent. They scrambled for higher ground, but there was none left. The ceiling arched low, slick with condensation. Every breath fogged into clouds that hung above their heads like trapped ghosts. "Don't stop," Alara said, voice trembling. "If we stop, we drown." The hum from the walls deepened, now matching the rhythm of their heartbeats. Mira found a ledge barely above the rising current. They huddled there, watching debris, ropes, broken helmets, fragments of gear spin in the whirlpool below. Hagen checked his gauge. The pressure was climbing beyond safe limits. "If the flood doesn't kill us," he muttered, "the air will." Alara touched the wall again, feeling its heat fade. "It's cooling down," she said, puzzled. "The system's shutting down." Kellen coughed violently, the sound hollow in the tight chamber. "Maybe it's dying," Mira whispered. "Or waiting." None of them spoke after that. In the distance, water thundered through unseen corridors, like footsteps drawing closer. Alara tilted her lamp toward the tunnel ahead. A faint glow pulsed there again. Blue, steady, familiar. "That's Jonas," she said. "It has to be." They plunged into the lower passage, swimming against the current. The water was freezing, numbing thought as much as flesh. Their lights flickered beneath the surface, carving streaks of silver across the cave's black belly. Alara led, her mind locked on the blue shimmer ahead. It danced, always just beyond reach. Kellen followed, camera forgotten, his world reduced to breath and heartbeat. Mira kicked forward but gasped. Her tether caught on a jagged rock. Hagen dove back, freeing her as silt clouded the water into blindness. When they surfaced again, the air was thick with sulfur. "We can't go much farther," Hagen rasped. But Alara was already moving ahead, whispering Jonas' name like a prayer swallowed by stone. They emerged into a new chamber, massive, circular, echoing with the drone of unseen currents. The water lapped at the ceiling, forcing them to crouch on floating debris. "We're trapped," Mira said, voice cracked. Hagen pointed upward, where faint shafts of light pierced through cracks in the stone dome. "Vent holes," he muttered. "If we can widen one." The idea died in his throat as a sound rose from beneath them, rhythmic, deliberate, almost mechanical. The water stirred in concentric ripples. "It's moving," Kellen whispered. The surface began to glow again, blue-white veins threading beneath the current. Alara leaned closer, mesmerized. The light pulsed once, then twice, and the floor dropped away, the chamber filled with a scream that wasn't human. The current tore them apart. Alara's world spun into chaos. Cold, bubbles, the crush of unseen walls. She reached for anything solid, finding only emptiness. When she surfaced again, she was alone. The chamber had split in two. A collapse had sealed the others beyond her reach. She screamed their names, voice shredding against the roar. The water kept rising. Her headlamp dimmed, leaving her in pulsing blue light that came from everywhere and nowhere. She floated, disoriented, until her fingers brushed something, metal, smooth, artificial. A submerged panel embedded in the rock. It vibrated gently, pulsing in sync with her heart. She whispered, trembling. The panel responded, with a breath of light. Alara woke to silence, broken only by the slow drip of water. Her lamp was dead, but the walls still shimmered faintly, alive with ghost light. She tried her radio, static. Hagen? Mira? Nothing. Then a faint thud answered, rhythmic, distant, like a coded knock. She followed the sound through a tunnel so narrow she had to crawl, her palms slicing on glassy rock. Ahead, the passage split, one direction rising toward a faint natural draft. the other descending into the same blue pulse that had haunted her since the beginning. She hesitated. Her rational mind screamed for air and daylight, but her instincts whispered that Jonas was down there, alive, waiting. The cave's hum seemed to lean closer, as if listening for her choice. Hagen and Mira emerged into a higher chamber, coughing from the sulfuric air. They were battered, but breathing. "We have to go up," Hagen said, pointing toward a fissure that vented thin streams of air. "That's our exit." Mira hesitated, staring down at the dark water swirling below. What if she's still alive? Hagen's jaw tightened. If we go back, we die too. He reached for her hand. She didn't move. The air around them vibrated faintly, voices layered in the sound of the wind. Mira's recorder clicked on by itself, light blinking red. The hum returned, faint but undeniable, shaping itself into a word she almost recognized. Her grip tightened on Hagen's wrist. "It's calling her," she whispered. "It won't let her leave." Elara descended again, following the pulse through waist-deep water that glowed from beneath. Her hands brushed the walls. They pulsed back, rhythmic as veins. "Jonas!" she called softly. The echo answered, but the tone was wrong. It sounded like her, repeating the word with perfect clarity. Then again, quieter. She froze. The reflection of her lamp rippled across the surface, fracturing her face into a dozen copies. "You're not him," she whispered. The hum deepened, and from beneath the water came a burst of bubbles, as if something exhaled. The current shifted, pulling at her legs. She turned to retreat. But the tunnel behind her was gone, sealed by a wall of moving stone. Above, Hagen forced a path upward through collapsing rock. Every strike of his tool echoed like gunfire. "Mira, move!" he shouted. She hesitated again, torn between sound and silence. The hum below grew louder, vibrations crawling through the stone into their bones. "She's still down there," Mira said. Hagen turned, sweat and dust streaking his face. "Then she's part of it now." The words hung heavy, cruel in their honesty. A new tremor hit, nearly toppling them. Cracks split across the ceiling, opening to shafts of pale daylight, an impossible glimpse of freedom. "Go!" Hagen pushed her upward, even as he looked back at the dark below, the faint glow rising to meet them like the cave's final breath. Elara stumbled into a cavern that pulsed with a light too steady to be natural. Machinery lined the walls, ancient, half-fused with stone, humming softly. The air shimmered with heat, yet the water remained cold. She approached one of the panels, symbols flickering across its surface like forgotten language. Her fingers hovered above it, trembling. "Jonas," the hum answered with a low, harmonic resonance that seemed almost kind. Behind her, the water began to rise again, drawn to the light. She realized too late that it wasn't responding to her voice. It was responding to her heartbeat. The light brightened until it swallowed her shadow whole. The chamber glowed with a stillness that defied logic. Elara stood knee-deep in radiant water that shimmered like liquid glass, every ripple tracing veins of blue fire along the walls. Machinery thrummed around her, its rhythm almost human, like breathing in sleep. She touched one of the panels again, and this time it responded. A low chime resonating through the cave. Symbols unfurled across the surface, ancient and fluid, translating themselves into sound. From the water rose faint images, faces, outlines, memories. Jonas laughing, Mira holding her recorder, Kellen filming the first descent. They flickered, distorted. Elara whispered, "You're here." But the cave's response came as a whisper in her own voice. "We've always been here." Far above, Mira and Hagen reached the surface vent. Rain poured in streaks of silver, flooding the hole faster than they could climb. "It's sealing," Hagen gasped, bracing the rock with his shoulder. Mira's recorder still blinked, catching every tremor of sound from below. "Elara's still down there," she said. The words came out hollow. Hagen turned toward her, eyes hollowed by exhaustion. "You can't save someone who's chasing a ghost." The wind howled through the fissure like a chorus of voices, too many, too layered. Mira froze, recognizing one among them, Jonas' voice. "He's calling her," she whispered, eyes filling with dread. Below, the blue light pulsed once, sending ripples of color through the rain like veins beneath the earth. Elara sank deeper into the water, following the visions that moved just beyond her reach. Each figure glowed faintly, leading her through a submerged passage alive with light. Her lungs burned. She surfaced into a new chamber, a sphere of stone and fire. The ceiling arched like the inside of a heart, veins of molten glass pulsing above. In the center floated a sphere of light, suspended inches above the water. Inside it shimmered movement, hands, faces, an entire memory collapsing inward. "Jonas," she called again, though she already knew. The light pulsed brighter, and from within it came the shape of a man, eyes empty, lips mouthing her name in silence. The hum crescendoed, neither mechanical nor human. Something older, something aware. Above, the mountain groaned as though alive. Hagen tied the last rope to Mira's harness. "Go," he said. "If I can hold it, you climb." She hesitated, rain and tears mixing as she stared into the fissure. The blue glow surged upward in sudden waves, casting their faces in unnatural pallor. "She's gone," Hagen said, almost to convince himself. Then a sound tore through the storm, a single piercing scream that wasn't pain but revelation. It froze them both. The light from below shifted from blue to white, washing everything in blinding brilliance. Hagen fell to his knees, covering his eyes. "It's breaking through," he muttered. The mountain shuddered, and the fissure exploded upward in a column of light that vanished as quickly as it came. Inside the chamber, Elara floated weightless, surrounded by light that no longer burned. The cave was silent, at peace, as if it had finally exhaled. She could see Jonas now, not a body, but a memory imprinted in radiance, smiling as if to say he understood. "You weren't lost," she whispered. "You were absorbed." The light began to fade, shrinking inward like a dying sun. She reached out, fingertips brushing the final edge of glow before darkness rushed back, sudden and total. For a moment, she thought she heard the surface. Rain, wind, the world above. Then only one sound remained. The steady human rhythm of her own heartbeat, echoing through the stone, joining the hum forever. Hagen floated in darkness, half-conscious. His body bobbed in water that was no longer cold, no longer rising, only endless. He tried to orient himself, but the cave had no ceiling, no floor, no sense. Light flickered beneath the surface, forming shapes that dissolved before they were real. "Mira," he croaked. Silence. Then a hand brushed his shoulder. He turned, gasping, but no one was there. His breath echoed in metallic rhythm. He realized it wasn't his breathing. It was the cave's. It inhaled as he exhaled, alive and synchronized. A weak glow pulsed ahead, a current pulling him toward it. "Elara," he whispered, but the name didn't belong to him anymore. It belonged to the echo. Mira clawed her way through a tunnel no wider than her shoulders, her palms torn and bleeding. Every few meters, her lamp caught fragments of old equipment, helmets, ropes, notebooks, ghost relics of other expeditions that had never returned. The thought hit her with crushing clarity. This place doesn't kill. It collects. The hum vibrated stronger now, almost melodic, almost kind. "I know what you are," she whispered, voice cracking. "You want witnesses." The walls pulsed faintly in response. a heartbeat of light running ahead like a trail. She followed, desperate for air, her mind drifting between reason and dream. Behind her, the tunnel began to fill again, the water chasing her breath for breath. Elara opened her eyes underwater. There was no up, no down, only currents swirling like ribbons of light. She breathed without suffocating, her lungs somehow in harmony with the flow. The orb that had consumed Jonas's image drifted beside her now, dimmer, almost companionable. "What are you?" she whispered through bubbles. In answer, the light fragmented into symbols she recognized from the walls, patterns repeating like waves. She understood then. The cave wasn't a place. It was a process, memory made physical, absorbing whatever entered to keep itself alive. She reached for the orb, knowing what would happen if she touched it again. Still, her hand moved. Curiosity had always been her curse, and the cave loved that. Mira surfaced into a hollow void lit by phosphorescent foam. Her lungs burned as she collapsed onto a floating slab of basalt. The chamber spun. Across the water, a figure drifted toward her. Hagen, pale, motionless. She paddled weakly, reaching him. "You're alive," she murmured, though he didn't answer. His eyes were open, reflecting light that wasn't there. When she touched him, his body dissolved. Not vanished, but unfurled into particles of luminescence that sank and merged with the water below. Mira screamed until her voice broke, yet the sound came back softer, as if comforted. Around her, dozens of pale lights rose from the depths, forming a slow spiral, an underwater constellation of everything the cave had kept. Elara felt the current shift, drawing everything upward. The hum softened into a single tone, pure and resonant, like the sound of glass trembling. The water carried her through narrow tunnels, past walls slick with reflected light. She glimpsed fragments, Mira's face, Hagen's silhouette, Jonas' hand reaching through the glow. Each image lingered for a heartbeat before dissolving. Then, suddenly, her head broke the surface. Cold air hit her lungs like fire. She gasped, coughing, surrounded by silence. Above, through a fracture in the stone, daylight poured in. A pale gray beam filtered through rain. She laughed weakly, unable to tell if she was alive or only dreaming the surface. Rain fell in silver curtains across the highlands as the rescue team scoured the fissure. Radios crackled with static and fragmented coordinates. "We've got movement," someone called. A rope descended into the black, vanishing into steam. Moments later, a figure surfaced, Elara, clinging to debris, eyes wide and unfocused. The rescuers hauled her into daylight. Her lips moved soundlessly at first, then formed a single word: light. She stared at the sky as though it were unfamiliar, her fingers clutching the ground like it might dissolve beneath her. The medics wrapped her in foil, voices muffled by wind. From the cave's mouth, faint blue mist rose and then dissipated, like breath fading from a body gone still. They transported her across the tundra, the storm breaking behind them. Elara didn't speak. Her eyes followed the horizon as if searching for something that wasn't there. Inside the chopper, the medic asked questions. Her name, the date, what had happened. "We followed the light," she said softly, but it followed back. He frowned, thinking she was delirious. Outside, the volcanic fields glistened with new lakes, each one faintly luminous beneath the cloud cover. He pointed them out. "Reflection from the storm," he said. But Elara turned to the window and whispered, "No, it's still breathing." At the field station, they recorded her statement. The room was bright, clinical, safe. Yet every time the overhead light flickered, her pupils dilated as though she saw something moving in the walls. "The cave isn't dead," she murmured. "It learns. It remembers." The investigator exchanged glances with the medic. "Do you mean an ecosystem?" he asked carefully. Elara smiled faintly. It wanted to keep us. It showed us what we loved, until we followed, willingly. The hum returned then, faint, nearly imperceptible, but enough to make the instruments on the table vibrate. The light above them pulsed once, then steadied. Elara's smile faded. It heard me, she whispered. Night fell over the outpost. Wind rattled the metal siding. In the generator room, a technician swore softly. The power gauge surged without reason. One by one, the emergency lights blinked to life, glowing faint blue instead of white. In the infirmary, Elara stirred from her cot, eyes snapping open to the same hue. Outside, puddles shimmered with soft light, connected by thin lines of steam creeping across the soil like veins. The hum rose again, steady, deliberate, the same tone that had filled the tunnels below. She stood, stepping barefoot onto the cold floor, following the vibration to the door. "You found a way out," she whispered. "So did I." Morning came silent and colorless. The rescue team found the infirmary empty, the door wide open. Outside, faint footprints led into the mist, each one glowing faintly blue before fading. They followed them to the edge of a new fissure, still steaming. There was no sign of Elara, only the echo of dripping water deep below. As the team prepared to seal the area, one of them paused, listening. A low hum rose from the depths, rhythmic and alive. For a heartbeat, it matched his own pulse. "Do you hear that?" he asked, but no one answered. The sound faded, replaced by rain. The fissure exhaled one last breath of light and went silent forever.